My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. All right, we are continuing our study of the resurrection. 1 Corinthians 15, Romans chapter 8. Now, we've been doing a comparative study between Romans 8 and 1 Corinthians 15, and I've been sharing with you that concept that Paul says the whole creation groans in labor pains until now. That's the messianic suffering. In the Jewish narrative and in the biblical narrative, there was a timeline of events that had to take place, not scattered out over 2,000 years of time, but rather in the last generation. You know, it's absolutely astounding to me when people try to say, well, you know, one day is with the Lord, 1,000 years, 1,000 years after as a day, and it's been 2,000 years since first century, so that's only 2 days. Folks, that is not what Paul was talking about. But nonetheless, okay, don't want to get too sidetracked here. I've been showing you that this concept of the tribulation before the resurrection is found throughout Scripture, Old Testament, New Testament. And corollary to that, direct corollary to that, is the concept, you have tribulation, okay? You have suffering and martyrdom. You have vindication at the day of the Lord. Now, I want you to catch something that is extremely, extremely powerful. In Romans chapter 8, Paul said, I reckon that the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared with the glory that is about to be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creation groans and waits eagerly for the manifestation of the sons of God. What's Romans chapter 8 looking for? Well, he tells us the redemption of creation, the redemption of the body, the resurrection. Now watch this. This is so critical. Romans chapter 8 puts the vindication of the martyrs, that period of tribulation in which Paul was living, would result in the vindication of the martyrs. When? At the redemption of creation. Let me say that again. The vindication of their suffering, their glorification, the redemption of the body. In other words, the resurrection would occur at the time of the redemption of creation. You know, virtually 99.9% of all commentaries agree that Romans chapter 8 is talking about, the total redo of creation. When does that take place? When does this ostensible redemption of creation take place? Catch the power of this. It occurs at the end of the millennium. Let me say that again. The redemption of creation occurs at the end of the millennium. Revelation chapter 20, 10 and following, it's the passing away of the old creation, the coming in of the new creation. Oh, but wait. That redemption of creation in Romans chapter 8 is the time of the vindication of the martyrs. When would be the vindication of the martyrs? Well, Paul said, remember, I reckon that the suffering of this present time, not worthy to be compared with the glory that is about to be revealed. They were suffering, they were being tribulated, pressured, persecuted. But that trouble was not to be compared with the glory that was about to come, that they were eagerly looking for. Apokaradokia, Greek word, which means standing on the tiptoe with neck outstretched. Imminence. They were expecting it. Apekdekomai. an eager expectation, imminence. What were they looking for again? Vindication of their martyrdom and suffering at the redemption of creation. But the redemption of creation, the resurrection of Romans 8, the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15, is at the end of the millennium. Oh, but wait. The vindication of the martyrs, all of the blood of all of the righteous, shed upon the earth from righteous Abel unto Zacharias, would be vindicated at the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. Therefore, the resurrection of Romans 8, the redemption of creation of Romans 8, the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be at the end of the millennium, at the time of the vindication of the martyrs, which was in AD 70. Folks, this theme of the tribulation and the vindication of martyrdom cannot be ignored. And that means you cannot have the beginning of the millennium in AD 70. AD 70 was the vindication of the martyrs. But the martyrs in Revelation 20, the martyrs in Revelation 6, the martyrs in Revelation 12, the martyrs in Revelation 14, the martyrs in Revelation 16 were waiting for the day of the Lord. Even though they were given white robes, told to rest until that day of the Lord. Just like those martyrs in Revelation 20 were seated on thrones waiting vindication at the end of the millennium judgment. When we conflate Romans 8 and the eager expectation of the redemption of creation, i.e. vindication of martyrdom, with Revelation chapter 20, it absolutely demands that the resurrection of Romans 8, 1 Corinthians 15, Revelation 20 was in AD 70. So we'll see you on the flip side.